Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse, the Wednesday, November 26th edition of the Daily Pulse. I'm your host, Teddy Panos, coming here from the WellPoint Studios here in downtown Lowell. It's the day before Thanksgiving. We're going to take tomorrow off, enjoy a little bit of turkey before we come back to you with the Daily Pulse Live on Friday. But today, figure we'll talk a little turkey, or politics for that matter, and who better to do that with than my regular Wednesday
The biggest
co-host.
turkey of them all, somebody would say.
One of the biggest turkeys out there in Lowell's political scene. I'm just kidding. I kid because I love former Lowell mayor.
But I've heard that a couple of times.
You have made your share of enemies, which we're going to get into a little bit. But you've also made your share of friends along the way. Bill Samaras.
It's part of the game.
It is part of the game, but thank you for being here.
It's not for the faint of heart, I'll tell you that.
No, whoever said politics is blood sport was not kidding. Yeah. So we got a lot of things to talk about. City council meeting last night, some other things happening out there on the periphery, both locally, but also around the world. And then I want to find out exactly how many of your family members you've pissed off and you're no longer invited to their house on Thanksgiving. You know, I already heard that Jimmy Kimmel's wife does not want you anywhere near her Thanksgiving dinner table. So
I was hoping to, be able to go, but
not this year. We're going to talk about all of that. First, let me thank my Daily Pulse sponsor, Ray Booten, licensed realtor in Massey, New Hampshire. Certified appraiser in both states as well. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, or a commercial property, you need to find Ray today. And you can do so easily enough online at realestaterayBooten.com. That's realestaterayBooten.com. Chances are he won't get back to you till after Thanksgiving. He doesn't like to sell houses during holiday week. He thinks it's a horrible time to list them and whatnot. But reach out to him and schedule something for next week. realestaterayBooten.com. Thanks as well to our friends at WellPoint for hosting us here in the WellPoint Studios. It is the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, WellPoint. Thank the rest of our podcast sponsors in a little bit, but let's get right down to it with Bill Samaras. Last night, Lowell City Council, relatively uneventful meeting, except there was a more continued back and forth over quote-unquote harm reduction. This time it was the needle distribution programs. JoAnn Kerrigan from the Board of Health spoke, got into a good little back and forth with Rita Mercier. They both professed their love for each other, but man, did they butt heads on, giving 10 needles in exchange for one. But Erin Gendron showed up as well. She did a podcast with us yesterday. She's on the Board of Health, trying to argue some things about that, the distribution of needles within school zones and parks, and some unintended consequences, and so on and so forth. They ultimately referred it to a subcommittee meeting or another Board of Health meeting and whatnot. This issue is heating up, though, around the Commonwealth. Just yesterday, the Globe did a story about, millions of needles a year being distributed in Boston, and how even Michelle Wu is ready to take another look at this issue and say, we have to try something differently. But there seems to be a level of Lowell's population constituency, and the Board of Health that seems to think these needle programs work. And the question I have to ask is, well, if they're working, why? And we've been doing it since 2018 here in Lowell. Then why does Lowell still have to pay 2 employees to go around and collect discarded needles? If you can cite all the studies in the world you want. I'd like to know who's doing these studies and their methodology. But if these programs work, and Lowell has been collecting needles for a good number of years now, then why are kids still dodging bullets in public parks, especially at South Common?
That question is the best answer. Okay, unfortunately, I wasn't able to see the meeting last night. I wanted to, but family comes first, and especially at this time of the
especially since half of them aren't inviting you to Thanksgiving dinner. So
I'm just really trying to make up for all of that. But the issue is that I feel that the health department when they're taking a stance like that, they're defending the program has not worked the way it should. And what happens sometimes, you end up defending something that doesn't work when really, you really got to make the exchange and say, it's not working, we've got to try something else. And the public wants something else because the fear of having your child or yourself walking, especially in the summer where people have, light shoes on or even barefoot in the summer. There's too much of that. And especially you go into the fields or what have you, and you can step on a needle. We need to develop a program that really works.
Yeah, great point. And in Boston, there was an example given at one of the public health meetings of a guy who had the Narcan in his dog. Yeah. Because the dog got caught up in this walking through a park. But you said sometimes you got to look at this policy, realize it's not doing what it was intended to do. And, again, you can point to some stats, but there are lies, there are damn lies, and then there are statistics. Well, as they used to say.
The idea that I'm bringing up, I told you I've had that about the school department, about certain programs.
Pivot if you have to, right?
That's the thing. I mean, you have to look at any program you have. If it's several years old, it's been successful, but success declines. And if it's in a state of decline, why? And okay, what's the next step? What else do we develop? There's what we do. We have this habit of continually funding what we have and then trying to get something new. That type of money is not always going to be there. I think a lot of people today are worried about what's going to happen a couple of years from now, or within a year. I mean, what's going to happen? So the thing is, I don't like the program. I don't think it works at all. And the issue is, you talk about the rights of those people who are involved in drugs. I talk about what kind of programs should we have, and even if we have to mandate help, I believe in helping, and I believe in developing programs that can help cure people, or, perhaps break the cycle. That's what we have to work on. Not support it.
Just imagine, and I keep saying this over and over again, and so far nobody's really argued with me on this.
Yeah.
If all this energy that we're putting into harm reduction and safe injection and whatever you want to call it, if we put that into forcing people into the kind of help that they need, and doing it as humanely as possible, but understanding that there needs to be some level of, they've got to cooperate with society. If you want to live in a part of society, you got to also, there's certain things, leaving a needle for a kid, a parent, or a dog to get contaminated with is not part of society's rules.
But, sitting on the chair as a counselor or as someone that can approve or not approve of a program that's ongoing, the issue is a lot of people would come to us and say, you have to support this program, and then they would leave feeling good about themselves. The thing is, very few people have come before us and said, you know what? The program's not working the way it should be. Perhaps we can work together to develop this kind of program. What happens too often is what I've seen today's society, the counselors or mayors or whatever group, health commissions, are criticized for what they're doing. And then people will come in and say, well, we have to continue what you're doing. Perhaps what we have to do is review what we're doing, and perhaps we have to look at the laws and say, you know what, some changes have to be made.
New ideas.
Yeah.
The other thing that jumped out at me from last night's meeting, there was actually some good levity there. They had the mayor for the day, a young student, a junior, from the vote.
That's always fun, yeah.
Some funny moments led to some laughs, but you did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
but there was a moment when they get to this harm reduction thing that I noticed that the mayor took control of the steering wheel because he knew where the meeting was going to careen to. But the other thing that jumped out at me is a couple of motions that Councilor Wayne Jeunesse filed.
Yeah.
One was about, do we look at putting a moratorium on new gas stations?
I saw
in
the
city of
motion.
Lowell. And then there was another one about getting low.
I don't think it was a moratorium. It was no more.
No more. Yeah, exactly. That's it.
That's not a moratorium.
That's the intention I got. And then also fossil fuel free buildings. In other words, new buildings that don't have gas or oil or whatever and go all electric. He talked about communities that did it. There was a little pushback from Councilor Corey Robinson saying, yeah, look at all these communities you listed. None of them have anything in common with Lowell. It's a more difficult thing. But what struck me is, Councilor Jeunesse is now in his final month in office. I don't even know how many more meetings he has left. There'll probably be one or two lost during the holidays, right?
One.
Christmas holidays.
I think it's one.
It seems to me like he's got a list of things that he wants to kind of address quickly in the last couple of meetings before he's gone. You were in those shoes. 2021, you lost your re-election bid when the system changed, and you knew that going to those meetings in November and December of 21, those were going to be your final meetings.
Yeah.
How do you approach that? How do you approach that?
The way I see what he did, I mean, I don't think he has any expectations that someone's going to carry that on for him. So I think what he's doing is sending out a message. This is what I believe in. This is what I would like to see. As far as myself and others that lost at the same time when the system changed, what you do is you look at all the programs you have in the hopper. That something on Andover Street, something in the downtown business corridor, all things, and you worked with other councilors to say, can you make sure that that's through for me or something like that. That's you clean up, but there's no. I don't think you can have any expectations.
So is your thought that maybe that's what Councilor Jeunesse was doing, is looking to some of his colleagues, and ideologically on something like that? I'd say maybe a Vesna Noon, maybe a Sidney Liang incoming and say, hey,
maybe I'll try.
Can you carry on this torch? But these aren't exactly things that were in the pipeline that could be carried. These are like, I don't want to call them radically new ideas, but to say no more gas stations, to say no more construction of buildings that have fossil fuels. This is something that's going to require a lot of study, a lot of subcommittee, a lot of debate and public hearing. So it's not an easy. It's not like saying, listen, I promised them I'd put a crosswalk on Andover Street before. Can you make sure this gets done next February or whatever? This is a big ask, right? Politically.
And, like I said, I think he's sending a message, and of course, today with Washington going complete opposite direction at this particular point, but the pendulum will also swing back to non-fossil fuels at some point. So I think he just you take the opportunity because you have a chance to have some press on a statement that you're going to make, because afterwards, you're going to watch the meeting with somebody and you're going to make a statement, and whoever the one or two people you're with, that's it.
Is it a difficult time to serve, knowing that you're going to these meetings, but pretty much you're not going to get much accomplished, and then you'll be done come January 1st?
It never should be. If it is, then you have a problem.
All right. You talk about, well, then you're done, but you don't necessarily have to go away. There are some councilors who have served, they finish their term, and then they're gone. Others choose to stay active in some way, shape, or form. You're one of them. Yeah. You immediately kind of dove headfirst in. You got in touch with Dan Rourke and dove headfirst into the Colley Stadium renovation things. You made that one of your...
I mean, that's a good example of getting along. That was Dan, came to me and said, look, we had the battle over the high school issue, but what's important is what we have for the kids. He said, we got to work together, and do something at Colley Stadium. And then we talked with Matt LaLasher to become the lead dog on that. And
Another guy who had a failed, he didn't even serve. He had a failed bid, but didn't go away.
But he didn't go away and has been doing a lot of great work for this city. But the thing is, Dan is an example of the way the system should work. Yeah, we had a battle. We had a tough battle. Okay, the battle's over. Now this is where it's at. Okay, how can we make it better? I don't see that in Washington. That's what bothers me. But we have it here in Lowell, thankfully.
So do you see it from the outgoing councilors here? And by the way, you're serving on the Housing Authority. You've gotten active in the media scene in your post-political career there. But there's another way. You can talk to people. You can shape opinion. You can get information out and whatnot. There are various ways to contribute. So there are 3 councilors who are no longer going to contribute on Tuesday nights, at least sitting in the council seat. But they have a chance to out in the audience or elsewhere. Wayne Jeunesse, Paul Rattayem, Ch·Cory Belanger. Ch·Cory Belanger has gone away multiple times, but he always seems to find a way to stay involved. He's not going to go anywhere, right? He'll find a board to get on, right?
Absolutely.
If I had to guess. Paul Rattayem.
Paul, he's a businessman. I think he'll go into the business community. And you work that way. I just don't see him doing something else.
He can now go back, though, to that pet project of his, the Smith-Baker Center, which, that, again, that we found out since the last time we chatted that passed unanimously. That information came out much to the consternation of some folks. There's a whole executive session discussion that I'm not going to get into now. I've done it the last 2 days, but that's your thoughts. You were part of councils where saving Smith-Baker Center was front and center, and you thought you had gotten there at a time. There was a deal with the Coalition for a Better Acre, and then COVID, and everything happened, and all that fell through. And less than a year ago today, that thing was condemned to the wrecking ball. Right here, yours truly front and center saying, bring Miley Cyrus in with the wrecking ball and tear that bleeping thing down. and people said, no, it can be saved, it can be saved. And I scoffed. I'm like, there's no way that's going to be saved. And blah, blah, blah. Paul Rattayem never gave up. Ultimately, John Dakota got convinced to give a group one last try. The manager never gave up. He sat here knowing that council wanted to tear it down, and even after they took the vote, and he talked about, you never know, angel investors. He hinted about the angel investor out at the 𝐁𝐢𝐥𝐥 Center. But he said, you never, if you tear it down, you can't rebuild
you can't, if Pat Mogan were here alive today, I mean, he'd be sitting down across from you and telling you why you can't even think that way of getting rid of it, because of the theater and the round that's in the building and the historic value that it has. But that's part of Lowell.
So, as one of those people who said tear it down, I was wrong. It's a good thing for the city that thing has been saved now, and I still question whether that business model is going to be sustainable, to be honest with you. But, I'm going to root for that crew to pull it off. But I also know that it's not the bank's problem. It's Northern Bank, which, is financing this thing. One way or another, they're going to be responsible now, not the city, for shoring it up, making sure it's not a nuisance. And if it has to get torn down, it's going to be on them. They put their signature on there, didn't they?
Yeah, they certainly did.
So it's a win-win, isn't it? Even if it fails, it's a win-win at this point?
I think so. I mean, the thing is, it's been talked about. But the thing is, if we can get a group to go in and actually try to do something, and, and construction-wise, and look at what the building's like, they can make a far better judgment. I mean, it may happen where they say, you know what, it would cost so much money we just can't do it. Okay, but I think they'll be able to save that building.
It looks like it. It certainly looks like it. The other thing, by the way, in that executive session that we've heard nothing about right now is the senior center and a potential new lease there. Is that an opportunity for the city because now the Walgreens, which is
Yeah.
attached to the senior center, is getting shut down. It's already shut down, right?
It is. I really think if the city could take that over, because the thing is, with Walgreens and the parking was always a serious issue,
Especially on election days, right?
Election days, yeah. And I think if that whole space was dedicated to the seniors, you could offer so much to them. I mean, you could almost make it pay for itself too, in the sense of workout room. They have some workout, but I mean, really do it right, and the hall for for feeding the kitchens and what have you. There's so many different things you can do to make a library and have adequate parking, and it's a safe area.
You can also create a little nook there for election day. Remember,
Yes.
we heard, you can't hold early voting there. Holding elections there, it disrupts senior activities. Now you got a little extra space that takes that away.
You could do so much. I mean, the thing is, Lowell's a great city, but the thing is, the senior center. It's nice, but it's always been problematic. We've gone through so many directors.
Used to be at the Smith Bakers.
Yeah.
Right? So, tying the two subjects together.
Absolutely. But the thing is, it's something we have to do it right, and they could possibly have a small police precinct there too.
Interesting.
You want to talk about safety in the city. You want to talk about access for seniors. You want to talk about a place where they can come in and get a breakfast and a lunch, or where they can go in and get some takeout food to bring home for families that are in need. But the thing is, a library, workout room, office space, voting space. It would be ideal.
By the way, just to be clear, I do not have any information that the city is going to take over or rent that spot.
Yeah.
No, I promise, councilors, nobody has leaked anything to me from executive session other than the fact that some agreement was made. What that agreement is, I don't know what it is, but it does make sense for the city to go in there or does it? Should the city look for another private business to maybe come in there and whatnot? Or I should say the landlords. The city doesn't own that, right?
Okay, but I'm going to go back to parking, because I've been to many successful events down there where there really is no parking. And I've seen people just turn around and go home because they just can't park there. And you have the Walmart or whatever it is, Walgreens, they could tow cars away that were parked. I mean, it was not an inviting scene for the seniors. I think the entire complex should be a senior center. I would fight for that.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll get some word on that as well and see what was discussed in executive session. I think it makes sense. I would like to think that the council and the city is at least looking in that direction, and hopefully getting a good rent from the building's owners as well. We're chatting with Bill Samaras, former Lowell mayor, former Lowell city councilor. He's our guest on today's Daily Pulse. We'll continue our discussion and we'll fan out elsewhere, maybe away from the city council chambers, and look at a few other things happening locally, statewide, and nationally as well. First, let me thank all of our Daily Pulse sponsors and our podcast sponsors. Ray Booten, licensed realtor in Mass and New Hampshire. Find him online, realestaterayBooten.com. Thanks as well to WellPoint at WellPoint. Your whole health is their whole point. Washington Savings Bank, banking that goes the extra mile. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, TMI Cares, managing and developing their own properties for over 30 years. Experience the quality, the care, and the value of making TMI the choice for your home. From Mahoney Oil Company, providing warmth to generations of families throughout Greater Lowell and Southern New Hampshire since 1925, and by the Greater Lowell Community Foundation, improving the quality of life in our communities through strategic, impactful philanthropy. Thank you to all of them. Thanks to Bill Samaras. All right, so now we've got the election away, the recount away. Nothing changed. Belinda Duran, as most people figured, was going to be the representative in Belvedere. Now we turn to the state Senate race. I'm seeing the yard signs start to pop up.
Yep, they will.
Already, and they will. You know, the snow will cover them soon enough. But special election February 3rd. It now looks like it will be a match race on the Democratic side. Rodney Elliott, Vanna Howard, two state reps going head-to-head. There was some talk that Virak was going to get in the race, and then late last week he sent me a statement. Said, nah, I've looked at it. Its timing's not right. Was he ever a serious candidate to get in that race? Would he have had a chance, or would he have been a spoiler? What was...
Well, the thing is, the difficulty for him would have been raising money. I mean, let's go right to the quick. Both Vanna Howard and Rodney have a good war chest already, and they can raise more money. They could almost raise an equal amount of money. Virak, I don't believe could raise that. That's the problem. The only candidate that could come in at this particular point is a candidate who could pay his own way, so to speak, and self support. You know, in races we've had that, but it's belongs to those two.
So usually when there's an open seat, you get a lot of people that are in there. And last time it was when Eileen Donahue stepped down. I think you had 5 candidates, good name candidates in that race. However, it was a different dynamic. That was part of the September primary, November election cycle. So you didn't have all these other people that had to give up a seat to get in there. Right?
And you had a chance to raise. You had a chance to raise money. Look, I mean, it's going to be the election is going to be the 1st of February. Okay, the thing is, we have Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Christmas.
We have Christmas coming up. Yep. Then you have New Year's. I mean, it's very difficult to raise money.
Correct. And
that's the bottom line.
2 state reps who don't have to give up their seat. They're getting a free bid at it with war chests approaching $100,000 and probably going to continue to fundraise. Yeah. How do you see that race shaking out now? And do we glean anything from the Belvedere race?
The thing is, I think right now, as it stands, I think it'll be a close race. The issue that if anybody asks me, okay, what should they be doing? I mean, they're going to send out their brochures. They're going to have their people. It's a lot of, I mean, they can't walk to every house, and especially in the wintertime. How are you going to do that? And we could have a January that's snow covered, okay? But I think the candidate that's going to be successful is the candidate that can get their votes to the poll. Because the thing is, it's just one race. I just don't see a lot of, I mean, the last race we had in Lowell, I mean, it was, look at the showing of people. I mean, it broke all records. Everybody was thinking higher than it actually was. I mean, and I think this is going to be the lowest showing of any type of race that we've ever seen.
Where do you think the race is won? Is it won in Lowell, which is by far the biggest city, the center of the district, or is it won in the suburbs?
Some people are saying Drake may have a lot to say or what have you. Lowell is it's easier to vote in Lowell, we'll say, than the suburbs. But the thing is, I'm just saying, I don't know how interested most people are going to be about this race. So what I'm saying is that if I was a candidate, what I'd be thinking about is having 30 to 50 people available towards the end of January to be able to make calls to the homes to say, Teddy, I need you to go and vote this coming Tuesday. If you need a ride, we have a ride for you. We have a coffee center. I'm saying a typical campaign with good ads and what have you may not just do it. I think you're going to have to actually go after the voter.
A get out the vote effort.
Yeah.
And it has to start. How early does it have to start in this day and age of mail-in voting? I think one thing I'm noticing from some of the council candidates is that, and even me mentally, as I'm trying to plan out my debate schedule here at Inside Lowell, and even when I was doing it on radio there, I always say, all right, well, you want to do it as close to the election as possible. But when mail-in ballots are already going back and forth, you almost have these campaigns start sooner. So how early do you start this campaign?
Right yesterday. I mean, actually
3 months ago.
3 months ago,
prior to Ed Kennedy's passing, when the speculation was he wasn't going to run for re-election, and everybody was looking towards next 2026 and that election cycle.
Yeah, I mean, you know. We lost a good state senator in Ed Kennedy, but the issue is this wasn't expected to happen. But the thing is, look at the time. I mean, you can't run, as far as I'm concerned, you can't run this race as you would, because we're talking Thanksgiving, Christmas, Martin Luther King Day. Look at all the holidays in this short period of time. In the holidays, people are doing other things. We have a potential of January wiping out, say, with snow.
Yep. You don't know what weather does. Yep.
That would stop all movement within the city. Maybe you could hold signs at some intersections and you get sloshed over or something like that. But you see my point? So they've got to come up with some, besides sending out some good literature, which you hope people will read. And the thing is, it's got to be good literature. But there's the dear friend cards, but I'm saying nothing beats the phone call saying, I'll pick you up if we have to.
So you see a close race?
Yes.
Okay. I'm with you. I see a close race. I've had a couple of my other pundits, Greg Pappas and Marty Laurie, say it's not going to be close. They think the towns kind of provide a large cushion for Rodney Elliott. That was their take in that. I'm not sure I'm there.
The issue. Come on. Look what happened in the recent Lowell election. Okay, there's people. I mean, some people lost it. Nobody thought would lose at this point. So there are new people coming out that are working hard. There's a change in the air. What's happening in New York with Mandami? I mean, the socialist movement, what have you. There's and people who are voting for it, you would never expect to vote that way. Times have changed, and the issue is what I'm going back to about the drug program. If it's been failing, change the thing. Do something different. But here, it's with social media, and you have to look at this quite differently.
I agree.
And social media is another how you use that.
I think those of us in the business of trying to analyze races and see if we can glean any predictions out of what we're seeing, I think we need to reevaluate it. And I'm going to disagree with Mr. Pappas and Mr. Laurie, and kind of agree with you that I think it's too close to call.
Well, right now it is, but you might have a thing where we look at it and say, who's going to trip first? Somebody's going to trip up, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be major, but I mean, any type of a wrong type of brochure, a meeting where, or a statement that was made that, oh my God, you said what? You believe what? You support what? You know what I mean? And you get a certain amount of people that just, I'm not going to vote for you because of that. And that can happen. I would
say here in Lowell, everyone knows who they're going to vote for in that race. I would say that Rodney Elliott and Vanna Howard are not new people there.
Exactly.
So everybody in Lowell, I think one of them could say something that you or I think is silly, or somebody else could think is silly, and I don't think it's going to change anybody's minds. I think those lines are drawn. how will Drake react to these people? How will Tingsboro? And that's why I do agree with Greg and Marty that this race will ultimately be decided by what the voters in the suburbs who aren't necessarily that familiar with them, how familiar are they with them? How much work have they done in the past to make connections and establishments versus how, I could see them turning voters off in Drake or Tingsboro.
But you see my point. I'm basically talking about the difficulty of the election. This is not your typical election.
February 3rd special election? Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
So, all right, we shall see what's happening there. You did want to share some thoughts on something that happened on the national level. So this is where you're going to get disinvited from another Thanksgiving dinner. You're more than welcome to come over. I'll invite you over to my sister's house if you need if you need a safe shelter. But
my son-in-law, they still accept me.
You were not happy with those 6 Democratic, I think they were all senators, who basically late last week put out a video telling the troops to not follow what they called illegal orders before they quickly started to backtrack on the Sunday news shows when they were asked, well, give us a specific order that's illegal, and they kind of you have strong. Surprising, I'm shocked that you have strong feelings about that.
Well, the thing is, I think it's my age and how I was raised. I mean, I love this country, okay, and the thing is, it's a system that works. I mean, but right now we have strong emotional feelings that are being fed on both sides. Okay, I mean, at this time, at the same time, you have a president who has no filter in what he says. I mean,
none whatsoever,
and that creates other issues. But the thing is, when you see someone like Martha Raddatz, on her show when she was interviewing. And even she had to say, wait a minute, what illegal thing has happened? And they make a quote about a movie, Few Good Men.
You're talking about Senator Elise Slotkin. She quoted Nuremberg.
And then say Nuremberg and what have you.
Have people forgotten what happened in World War II? Do people really? I hear this term, and by the way, I'm somebody who had been labeled a Nazi for forever, and I laugh at folks because you quickly find out the people labeling you Nazis are the ones that chant from the river to the sea. But have people forgotten what the Holocaust was? Did academia fail us by not teaching that?
Well, the thing is, I mean, the reference to Nazism and what have you. This is another thing. What bothers me is, the statements that they made. Okay, the astronaut,
Mark
Kelly. I mean, the young soldiers would look at him with, my God, he was one of us, a captain in the Navy, an astronaut. I mean, he's done it all. He's done a lot. But the thing is, you're confusing. You're telling our troops what is a bad order and what have you. I mean, the issue, we know what happened in Vietnam. A lot of people don't know. Remember the killing of a village ordered by and that was an awful thing. And that is a bad order, and that is something that should be dealt with. But I just don't like how both extreme ends of both parties are ratcheting up the heat. You keep doing this, you're going to create another kind of problem. I mean, do people want insurrection?
Yes.
I don't want insurrection.
Yes.
I want to see our people. I want to see, just like I come from a time, and I've said it before, time and time, where some of the leading Democrats and leading senators would beat each other eloquently on the floor of Congress, and then at the end, when whoever won, they now work together how to compromise or integrate each other's ideas
But here's
to
the
make
thing,
it
though.
work.
Back in those days, people believed in the system, the
Yeah.
American system, in democracy, in capitalism,
Yeah.
that there were certain norms you had
Yeah.
to follow, certain things that united us, and
That's right.
and especially in times of crisis in the country. You now have an open questioning of whether the American experiment worked or not. When you find out that 40% of college-age students believe that communism is better than capitalism. When you see the rise of democratic socialists, forget Lowell City Council races, you see the mayor of New York City, who, by the way, had a very nice meeting with his adversary, President Trump, the other day, which shocked the hell out of me. But when you see that there is a battle going on for the soul of America, Scott Jennings, who I absolutely love as a political pundit, has talked about this. There is a fight over the war over Western values and the Western world.
Yeah.
And you could be a Democrat, you could be a Republican in the old days, but you believe that Western ideology ultimately was the goal and the best thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist anymore with too much of our country. And I think when you say, do people want insurrection? Yeah, you got people who don't want to follow orders. You got people who don't want to follow the court rulings, right?
But the thing is, I don't want a city where you have to worry about someone being shot or what have you, or someone, or if you express an idea that you're beaten into the ground for expressing an idea that's different from mine, or.
I see it in our city council races, Bill.
Yeah.
It used to be politics is local, they're nonpartisan elections. It's not the case anymore. I've seen it creeping in for years and years, and I think now, and that's why one of my goals, much to the chagrin of many people, is to point this out, to let people know that there is a difference. We can disagree on how to get there, but as long as we get to Western values, democracy, what the ancient Greeks taught and whatnot, we're in a good place as a society, because just look at everybody who's gone the other direction across the world. There's a reason people aren't fleeing the United States of America to find comfort in Venezuela, in Cuba, in Haiti, in Russia, Ukraine. People come here for a reason. I think we Americans ourselves have forgotten what it's about.
But the thing is, we have Western values. Then you have the values of the Orient and what have you. What the dream was the integration of all those values, and that we'd all work together and understand each other and be accepting. We're going the opposite way.
Well, because we were taught that it's okay to be different. We should, it's the old, diversity is our strength. Diversity is wonderful, but the strength of a nation, the strength of a people is their unity. In times of need, in times of crisis, when they unite. If you keep pointing out the differences between people, then they have nothing in common.
Well, right now, I mean, the thing is, if you watch MASH, that was the only understanding you'd have that there was a Korean War, or what it was all about, that there was a political nature to the Korean War. The thing is, with Vietnam, it's some newsreels and what have you, and a lot of soldiers who suffered through that. I mean, came home not only physically ill, but mentally ill. I mean, because of it. And the World War II and World War I, there's some pages in the history book, and no one understands. The kids today really don't understand it. I think I come from a time when my uncles were in World War II. When I, as a child, saw them coming home in their uniforms, and heard the stories and what have you. So it's difficult, but the issue is we're ratcheting up everything up at a level where people are pushing for something to happen. I don't like that. I don't respect that. And when someone like Martha Raddatz, who I respect as a news person, she is, we'll say, more left than she is,
You think?
to the right. Just say it nicely. But the issue is she will ask intelligent questions and she'll want an intelligent answer. And what was given that Sunday was a movie in Nuremberg. That doesn't work.
It shouldn't. I'm afraid it does far too often. And that's why I'm happy that I at least have, my sister will never disinvite me. Most of my family will enjoy me, even the ones who can't stand me or my politics. Who kicked you out of their Thanksgiving dinner besides Jimmy Kimmel's wife?
Yeah, nobody, no.
You're still okay? You're still welcome in the house?
We're still okay.
Maybe not after today's episode airs. If your phone starts ringing after 12 o'clock today when I drop this, you'll know why.
Yeah, I know.
Bill Samaras, great Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you. I'm thankful that you're a part of our crew and that you stayed involved in the city, because despite our many policy disagreements through the years, I believe you actually do love the city. And I want to see it prosper.
No, thank you. And I wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving, and to everybody else in the city. I mean, we do this because we love the city. And the issue is, we should all be able to express our opinions, not in a hurtful manner. You don't have to do it in a hurtful manner, but express our opinions. And if they're different, learn from each other and work with each other. That will give us success.
Hear, hear.
That's it.
Now about that high school decision. Just kidding. We'll save that for. I'll ruin your Christmas with that. Thanks so much.
No.
We'll see you next week. Kelly Richardson, former Lowell Police Chief, now a Greater Lowell Regional Technical High School Committee member.
Absolutely.
The Volk School Committee member. He'll be here. Lots to talk about with him and you, okay?
Yep.
All right. Thank you to former Mayor Samaras. And, of course, thank you for tuning in today to the Daily Pulse, tuning into the Daily Pulse every day, or following anything we do here at Inside Lowell. Very thankful that we have a community that cares, and a group of people, whether they agree or disagree, that cares enough to stay involved and have these discussions. I think it makes our place, our community, a better place. Everybody have yourselves a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope the day is full of joy and blessings for you and your family and all your loved ones. Enjoy the food, the football, the family, and the friends. We'll be back on Friday with the Daily Pulse Live, featuring the Pod Squad, the fabulous Lindsay, and a special guest as well, who'll be more than happy to point out my faults, my own sister-in-law, Lily. But till then, everybody, stay safe, enjoy your Thanksgiving. I'll see you on the other side.